Welcome to Restaurant Catering Smarts, your go-to podcast for restaurateurs looking to better operate and grow their catering profit centers. With every episode, you can count on expert advice, innovative strategies, and tasty tips straight from industry leaders. Our purpose is to help your business thrive. So, let's dig in to another juicy episode.
Again, I'm Michael Attias, your host of Restaurant Catering Smarts, and today's guest is John Geyerman, Chief Strategy Officer at WOWorks. I was about to butcher it, you told me not to call you.
You did great.
With a career spanning decades in the restaurant industry, John brings a wealth of experience in scaling brands, optimizing operations, and driving strategic growth. At WOWorks, he's helping lead the charge across a portfolio of health-focused, fast, casual concepts, guiding innovation, brand synergy, and off-premise expansion. John's deep understanding of multi-brand operations and guest-centric strategies makes him a powerhouse in our industry, and we're excited to have him on the show today. But before we get started, let's take a minute to recognize our sponsor, CaterZen Catering Software. They help restaurants turn their catering chaos into calm. Discover why restaurants trust CaterZen to save them time and increase sales. Go to caterzen.com and sign up for a walkthrough of their software. Now let's dive into this episode of Restaurant Catering Smarts. Welcome, John. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, Michael. Thank you very much for having me.
No, thanks for being here. So I'd like to start us off with an icebreaker question. Give me a number between 1 and 300.
1 in 300, I'd say 178.
What's the coolest animal encounter you've ever had?
Coolest animal encounter, odd story. When I was in 5th grade, I worked for a veterinarian. I would walk down and clean cages and walk dogs after school. And he would take me out on the weekends when he had like emergency projects. He'd pick me up and take me out, and I'd get to see all kinds of things that I probably wouldn't mention on this podcast, but they were very cool for a 5th grade boy in South Dakota. It was a really cool time.
So give me one cool animal.
Cows mostly in that frame of work.
Very neat. Yeah, I think the coolest animal I've interacted with, a sloth.
Oh yeah.
That'd
very
probably
docile.
Be the cool. Yeah, very chill, and they look like their persona in the plush animals. Just very like they're smoking pot or something. They're just
Amen. They got the little hair helmet thing going.
They do.
Yeah.
They're very chill and very
fantastic.
slow. So, I'm going to guess you didn't just start in the restaurant business. What's your path to the restaurant business? How'd you get into it?
Grew up in retail actually with Walmart. I was one of the first of the first 4 super centers that they built as a prototype with Walmart when they converted and added grocery to their core business of general merchandise. So I just happened to get a job to put myself through college in Arlington, Texas, working for one of the original 4 super centers, and obviously that platform worked well for them. So I rode that wave, which was very aggressive for 15 years, opening up 27 different super centers, and ended up running super centers in my 20s and 30s. And got recruited to a great regional Texas brand, H-E-B Grocers here in Texas.
Sure.
Phenomenal brand. Worked with them, and then was recruited to a brand out of Austin, Texas called Schlotzsky's Deli, Schlotzsky Sandwiches, which is a phenomenal brand.
How far back were you with Schlotzsky's?
That's 2009.
When you were there, was there a guy in purchasing named Matt Diana?
Oh man, I loved Matt.
Okay, so this is like, I'm Kevin Bacon today, right? The 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. My first job in high school was washing dishes. Matt was my boss.
Oh geez, I'm sorry.
He was such a fucking hard ass.
Yes.
And I'd come in and I go, "Hey, can I have my tips from last night?" "Why are you busting my ass? I'm busy." But he's sort of like that grouchy drill sergeant. But he was very good. I don't know if you know, he was a big audiophile. When he worked, he had like a 280ZX, and I think his car stereo was 10 times more expensive than his car.
Yep.
And then I remember talking to him someplace later in life when he went to work for Schlotzsky's, but it's crazy that he was my first boss.
Yeah, he always bragged every time he had to drive from Richardson to Austin, because he'd come down every week. and he would always try to beat his previous record of how fast he made it down. And he wouldn't take toll roads because he was convinced that they were going to track how long it took him to go from point A to B, and that they would catch him for speeding somehow. I'm like, come on, Matt. They don't care.
Is he still with Schlotzsky's? Do you even know?
He passed away.
Oh my God.
Yep, he passed away. I went to his memorial service. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm so sorry.
Yep.
Learned a lot from that guy. Really.
Yeah, he was a good
hard worker.
guy. I actually got along with him really well. He was a huge punk fan, so
Yeah.
we had music in common. He was a big audiophile for sure.
Yeah, he was definitely a grouch, but he worked his ass off and he was a good role model, and I learned some good things from him.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, for sure. When it came to purchasing, he was about as tough as they get.
Yeah, he's the guy you want.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, he and I got along really well.
So you went to work for Schlotzsky's. What'd you do with them?
I started as a regional vice president over the Dallas-Fort Worth DMA. It was the largest DMA, and ended up taking over the western half of the U.S. and then eventually the full U.S. franchise system. So I was running the U.S. franchise system. And when we had a new CEO come in over Focus Brands, and they decided they wanted to consolidate all brands under one rooftop, literally in Atlanta, I made a choice not to move to Atlanta and decided to. I could have stayed remote and stayed out of Dallas and worked in Atlanta, but then I would have been that guy who came in once a month and people really don't know. And it just didn't seem like it was a great idea.
No, I mean, that definitely makes sense. It makes it tougher for you to do your job when you're,
Yeah.
flying
When
in
you're
and
not,
flying out. Yeah.
yeah, you're not at the coffee station with everybody else, from time to time throughout the day.
Unless you're like us, we're all remote,
We are now 100% remote. We don't have an office. Yeah.
Yeah, I put on a hat just for you. I mean, normally I just roll out of bed and I just start working. So
Well, hopefully you
it's
have
nice.
pants on. That's all that matters.
I do have pants. That I can promise you. What was that guy on CNN got caught with no pants on, or God only knows
Yeah.
what? It's crazy.
And then the other guy whose mistress walked behind him in the screenshot that wasn't his wife or whatever. Yeah. There's all kinds of those stories.
I'm sure there's plenty. And then how'd you end up at WOWorks? Did you start it? Were you part of the founding group?
Yeah,
how'd you end
so
up with it?
the president of Schlotzsky's was Kelly Roddy, and he's our current president. So the equity group that bought Saladworks, that was our original brand, they bought Saladworks out of bankruptcy. They hired him to come in and be the president, and he called and said, hey, I need some help. So I came on board. And originally, we were all working in an office in Conshohocken, Pennsylvania, just a suburb of Philly.
Wow.
So I was flying to Philly every week on Monday and flying home on Friday night. Our executive team would fly in and we'd get stuff done, and then we'd go home. Through the pandemic, obviously nobody was going to the office, and we started getting opportunities to purchase small to mid-sized brands, 50 to 100 units. And so we picked up Garbanzo and we picked up Frutta Bowl in December of 2020. And then immediately picked up in April Simple Greek. And so we went from one brand to four during the pandemic, and they all had bases of teams living in those communities, right? Garbanzo was based in Denver. And so we kept people as we needed, but we were able to kind of scale with our existing infrastructure and shared services to just run those brands with kind of what we had. And we decided at that point, maybe there's no reason to come back to a home office. Maybe we just work remotely. And so that's what we've been doing for the past 4 years. And it's been really, really good.
Yeah, I think if you bring on the right people, remote is actually better. It's when people can't get their stuff done that you have a problem. But people who are independent, hard workers, they'll get more done in 6 hours than 12 hours with people in the office and chit-chatting and all that. And leave them to their own devices.
Well, and we're fortunate. We have a really good chief people officer. She does a really good job at making sure that we stay connected to culture, and that we do events that keep people connected on a personal and relational level. And that, I think, is important. That's the piece you really lose when you're not standing there with a cup of coffee asking Jimmy what he did last Friday night, and just kind of getting to know people on that type of level. So, and right now she's got us all doing chia pets, and we're like taking pictures every day of the growth and sharing
That's
it.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
When you're not paying that high rent, you can afford to do a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah. It's really good. And it allows us to get talent wherever the talent lives. So we're able to hire people from Tulsa, Oklahoma, or Portland, Oregon, And we don't have an expectation that they have to pick up and move to Pennsylvania. So it's been really good.
Yeah, and especially when you can hire somebody in Tulsa and they're getting better than Tulsa wages, now all of a sudden they're more loyal, they're more excited, they're more engaged,
Yeah.
so it's not a bad way to go. Now, are y'all mostly corporate or is it franchise?
We are almost exclusively franchised.
So we can get into that because I've worked with a lot of franchise brands and that has its own set of challenges, obviously.
Yep.
Well, let's just go in and talk about that and we can just go in whatever direction.
Cool.
So, what I found when I work with the franchise organizations, it's the 80-20 rule, right? If you have 100 franchisees or 100 units, you got 20% of them, 10, 20, that are busting out the catering. You've got that owner who gets it. He's out there hustling. And the other 80% think, hey, I paid for a logo and some recipes and it should be coming in the door, right? What's y'all's theory on that? Do you recruit franchisees? Like I know I did some work with Moe's, when they were with Focus. And I know that sort of their MO is you're not getting a territory if you don't put a catering sales rep in the market. So that's just part of their ecosystem.
We've been fortunate. Both Garbanzo and Barbaritos are super heavy catering, well above the industry average. They cater really well. They've got great product that presents well, that holds well. And they have historically always done it. So we've just really implemented tools that help them become more efficient and effective in managing that process. But I've got restaurants that are doing significant catering business. Frutta Bowl, not so much. They do a ton of third party, it's acai bowls and smoothies, things like that. Not a big catering play. Saladworks has been growing. They really didn't have a catering program when we got the brand. So we've been developing things around our paninis, sandwiches, soups, and salads that are more catering friendly and getting some good play on that. And then of course Zoop is a great catering play. They've got a little bit of everything. So they do a great job with it. We really have not had any pushback around catering. People, I think, understand it's paid trial. It's a great opportunity from an efficiency standpoint with labor. You're building 70 meals, with 2 people, and it's just so much more efficient, and it's top line revenue in the 4 boxes without any additional fixed costs. So it's so much more profitable.
But are you requiring your franchisees to bring on a catering sales rep? Are they relying on third party? What's their primary strategy to build catering sales? It's one thing you've got a barbecue restaurant and by inherent nature, you're going to get 20% just because that's part of the ecosystem of a barbecue restaurant or a deli. What are y'all doing to juice up those sales as opposed to, hey, we got to sign order if you want to, or we're on Easy Cater?
I think the reality of our restaurants is we have a lot of 1, 2, and 3 unit franchisees, and they're very invested in their communities. And they know people. They sponsor the local baseball team. They're in their community. They're the face of their brand in the community. They're kind of the mayor of their brand. And I think they're out there personally pressing those buttons and creating that type of relationship in their communities, which to me is critical. That's what happens. That's what differentiates you from the corporate,
for sure,
franchise empire of somebody who they think that somebody sits in a tower in New York City, right?
Yeah. Do you, when you're looking for a franchisee to partner with, right? Is that something you're looking for? Like, oh, Michael lives in so-and-so Kentucky. He's a deacon at the church. He's involved in the Rotary. His kids play Little League. He coaches. This fits a profile as opposed to, hey, I got a bunch of money. I want to put my kid in a business. And you're like, are you recruiting for that? Because it's sort of like culture at work, right? How important is culture fit when you're recruiting franchisees?
It's critical. It's critical. And we learned that from Barbaritos. I think they were really good at it when we bought that brand. They, started in Athens, Georgia. So it's a lot of University of Georgia people that grew up in that town. They're familiar with the brand from that. They graduated, they moved back to their hometown or wherever they're establishing business and have opened a Barbaritos. And again, they're kind of the mayor of their Barbaritos in town. But they're very invested in that relational, and they're concentrated in the Southeast. It's really kind of a cultural phenomenon that happens in the Southeast. People like to sit down face to face, have a glass of tea across the table from somebody and talk to each other. It's a great way to
And
do business, and that's how they built their franchise system, and we've embraced that and have encouraged it.
and that's sort of the way things work in the South. Like, you're part of the community, you have a reputation, and if you're a good part of the community, people love you and want to work with you. And if you're some schmuck, they're going to turn their back on you. So it can work for you or against you, obviously.
Yeah.
There's so I was a Corky's barbecue franchisee. I worked for them in college. I was one of their first franchisees, did $1 million in catering. And so we sort of disrupted the market because the barbecue restaurants that were in town, I don't know that their barbecue was great. And they were sort of old school as far as business practices, how they did business. But there was this place called Herbert's Barbecue about 15 minutes south of us in Franklin, Tennessee. And it was Mr. Herbert. And he was known for his corn light bread, whatever that is. I don't know. It's like cornbread, but lighter, I guess. And I was talking to him or talking to somebody, and they go, "Yep, Mr. Herbert's, he's a pillar in Franklin. His family's been down there forever." And he reads the obits, and when somebody dies, a family dies, he shows up with barbecue. He might bring a pound of barbecue and, a couple of pounds of barbecue. Well, who the heck do you think they're going to order their catering from? Who showed up at grandma's visitation? It's really, really genius.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure there was an element of entrepreneurism in that, but it's probably just the way he's wired too. It's just probably
Oh,
from the
no, I
heart,
don't think it was manipulative at all. I think that's just who he was, but he benefited from that. Just like, there's other people that have affinity groups or they like to help out nonprofits, and, it comes back to roost for sure.
Yeah, 100%. At the end of the day, all things being equal, people want to do business with people that they respect and know. And at the end of the day, even when things aren't equal, people want to do business with people that they respect and know.
Yeah, I mean, I think about the people I do business with. You've got people that you do business with because you need a vendor and that's the vendor, whatever. But the people you really have my favorite people are the customers I have a personal relationship with, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a guy, Butch Scott, out of Oxford, Mississippi, Taylor Grocery. He bought an educational system from me, the Catering Magic system, back in maybe 2003. So before he even had a software company, he was learning how to build catering sales. He sold that, went to work for Taylor Grocery, which is an institution in Oxford. So to have a guy that's been with you for like 20, 25 years, like that guy's got my number. He can call me or I can call him and he's going to take my call and he's going to give me his unfiltered opinion about something. It's really nice to have those people that you have that relationship with, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I think, and that's what can get particularly in a franchise world, I think there's people that are always looking for mailbox money. So they've got an IT job or they're an accountant or they have a day job and they buy it as a passive investment and think that they'll just sit back and kind of collect money and not have to do anything. And that goes sideways generally pretty quick.
Yeah. And there might be some brands that are better suited for that. If you're going to, I'm just thinking like on a high level, like a Papa John's, right? It's very systematized. It's pizza.
Some of the
you can bring in, some of those you can get by with that. But if you're going to deal in the environment you're in, especially with catering, you need somebody who's going to go out there and press the flesh. And, like I can come in your restaurant and if somebody messes up a salad, I go to the counter and I say, "Hey, my salad was, somebody put olives in. I hate olives. Remake it," right? With catering, I want to know that I've got that go-to person. Like, "Hey, man, my boss just told me I need food for 20 at 12 o'clock. Can you hook me up?" Or "There's a problem. Can you hook me up?" It's a very relationship-driven, but it's also very loyal because if you find somebody who takes care of you, I might love your salad today and there's a new salad chain across the street. I'll try them. And if I think they're nicer, better, I'll try them. But catering is like, it's way on a whole different level.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and so much you're dealing with your own relationships. If you're a doctor and you have clients or you're a car dealership and you've got your team members that you're trying to take care of, I mean, that's a big responsibility. You don't want to screw that up, right? So you want somebody, you make a call and it gets taken care of. And it has to just be the easy button. It has to be done.
Right. And I think that's the challenge with third party catering, like Easy Cater, DoorDash, whatever. It's like, I don't have a person I can point my finger at and say, hey, I need you to fix this. It's like whoever's picking up the phone, and maybe there's a supervisor that'll handle it. I need to know that I have my go-to person if there's a problem. And you miss that with the third party, is that hand holding and that special attention. And sometimes you just need somebody to pull you a favor. Like, I need you to go to the store and get me watermelon
Right.
or something special. And it's like, hey, you're a great client. I'll hook you up. Like, I don't mind doing it for you. Or,
Yeah.
hey, can you do third shift at the factory for 20 people? Well, yeah, you're feeding 1,000. I'm happy to figure out how to get a crew to come out at 3 a.m, feed those people. I'll put them in a hotel room, because an Easy Cater is going to say, sorry, we're closed, right? But
That's
if
right.
I'm dealing with you, you're thinking, this is 1,000-person holiday party for a factory. I'm going to make it happen.
That's right.
So it's let's talk about, with all these brands, how much cross-pollination is there of ideas, of catering programs? Because obviously there's, you talk about the mastermind concept. As smart as you are, as smart as I think I am, when we can put 10 people with a similar background, it's like, it exponentially your knowledge rises, you increase your sales, your operational efficiency, what you learn, what you can implement. How much cross-pollination do y'all do?
We try to encourage that pretty aggressively, not only from an operational standpoint. We have what we've defined as the one wow way of doing things. So when we create a training manual, we create a template, and then we change it based on ingredient or slight differences within the brands, right? But it's going to be kind of systematized around, this is our WOWorks way of doing this. And the nice thing is we have one POS, one loyalty platform, et cetera, et cetera. So it's very common, and we have a very aggressively growing franchise system that is now, hey, I'm going to do a Saladworks Frutta Bowl here, and I'm going to do a Barbaritos here, and I'm going to do a Garbanzo here, because I want to operate within a 20 square mile radius of my home. I don't want to have to go to the next town to do 3 more Barbaritos, right? So we're getting velocity in that.
So you're increasing the value of a franchisee, because now I have an appetite for more than one in my town, and now you're going to cross-pollinate brands, and there is obviously economies of scale in the fact that I don't have to know 5 different training programs, 5 different
right.
pieces of software. I just need to know 5 different menus and SOPs for recipes. And I think that's genius, and I'm sure
That's right. And our FBCs are regionally located. So that person is going to share, even though they've got 4 brands or 5 brands, they're going to share the same business consultant. So that person, their one-stop shop on our internal side is going to be the same person for each of those brands, which is great. Plus you can share team resources. You have somebody call out at Saladworks and you've got a Barbaritos down the street, they're going to be looking at different ingredients, but the POS is going to look the same. The process is going to look the same. It's all walk down the line, create your concept or your menu item and go.
How much cross-pollination of catering clients? So let's say that I'm located in Springfield, Tennessee, right? And I've got 4 of your brands, 3 of them cater a lot. How much cross-pollination do you have cross-pollination of databases where I have one database with all my clients across brands? Is it that integrated?
We do. We don't have density of brands significant enough to be that big of an impact in that regard yet. We're getting there, and some markets are growing out in that regard. What we do have is we've started taking our existing brands and creating a virtual catering concept out of our other brands. So for instance, I have a restaurant that was a Simple Greek when we bought Simple Greek and Garbanzo. He converted to a Garbanzo because quite frankly, the garbanzo AUVs are better. They're stronger. That's a more expansive palette. It's not simply narrated on Greek. It's more, we can play with those flavor profiles much more aggressively because we have a more expansive region to play with. So he converted to garbanzo, but he kept his simple Greek catering platform. So he's potentially, and his clients know this. They would order from him on a Thursday simple Greek and Saturday garbanzo. Well, now we've started doing a Barbaritos catering platform, kind of a Barbaritos light, that we've branded as Burrito Syndicate. And it is a catering platform. And he's doing catering of Barbaritos product that is identical to our recipes and builds for Barbaritos. So he's got a youth baseball tournament this weekend. He's doing 3 caterings 3 days in a row, one from Simple Greek, one from Barbaritos, and one from Garbanzo.
And all from the same 4 walls.
All from the same 4 walls.
And it's great because, you want to, we all know that the most expensive thing is the overhead of the bricks and mortar, right? And you want to maximize that.
That's right.
And, you don't have to go build a second store, which he may or may not, but now you can double the profit out of that store. The managers can make more money. The crew can get better tips, better opportunity. That's way better than like, okay, let's try to suck every dime and make you open 10 units and none of them are making you great money. We're the only ones making money getting the royalty because, hey, we can increase that royalty by 20% if we make you open 4 doors. And then you wonder why these franchises go out of business because the franchisees were never set up to print money, right?
Well, and that's genius. What we focus on. We did a study a couple of years ago, and I put it into a narrative, and it really plays well for people that, every dollar that you have up to break even, you've got your prime cost coming out of that dollar up to break even. But once you hit that threshold over break even, so when you're adding top line revenue for third parties, for catering, for all these other ancillary things, those dollars don't see that same prime cost because you've now paid for that. Your fixed costs are static. They're done. You paid your rent, you paid your utilities, you paid your pest services and your linen services. So now you're putting exponential
40,
dollars to the bottom line.
40, 50 cents. And I used to always tell people, now, if you're a cost accountant, you're going to aggregate that cost. And it's like, okay, I'm going to call BS because you wouldn't have that anyway. So yeah, if you can increase I've always said it, you can double your profits with catering because if the average restaurant's taking a nickel home and you increase catering sales to 10% of sales, half of that, you've doubled your profits plus the advertising ability, right? Every time they go out and they try it, if the food's good, like, where did that come from? I want to go eat there. And then, you build another customer. What are the, so if I'm in your ecosystem, what are the top 3-4 things you advocate or teach those guys to do to go out and build catering sales?
I think first and foremost, to provide a good experience every time you're out on the street. To make you got to hit it out of the park. You can't do a bad catering experience, like you said. If somebody has a bad experience, especially if you're dropping off, setting it up, and then you're walking away, you're not serving it for them. If something goes wrong, you're not necessarily there to know about that. So the follow up afterwards, making sure did we do everything appropriately, making sure everything was the way it was supposed to be and how they ordered it. I think that's critical. I think one thing that I really like our catering people, when they go out, we try to train them to, when you go drop off a catering, be sure you've got your catering menu and your business card, hit 2 businesses around that area and solicit them. Just make an introduction, talk about things that, what your offer is and what your opportunity is. I'm a big fan of, I learned this from my HEB grocery days. And we have what we call Thankful Thursdays. And so what I encourage in our corporate stores, we do, and we've encouraged our franchisees to do this. Every Thursday, put a tray together, dessert tray, pinwheel tray, fruit tray, vegetable tray, whatever. Put your catering menu, your business card, whatever you want to put on it. Take it somewhere in the community. City offices, nurses lounge at the hospital, teachers lounge at the school, fire department, police department, courthouse. Take it somewhere. We appreciate so much what you do for our community. Thank you very much. We just want to tell you how much we appreciate it. And oh, by the way, if you ever have catering needs, we'd love to help you out with that. And that's just take something it costs you $5 and you're building a relationship. And if you do it once a week, that's 52 touches every year. It's so insignificant, but it goes such a long way in communities, especially when you're in a smaller community.
Are y'all are you doing anything to solicit catering leads from walk-in traffic?
Other than in-store POP, not necessarily.
Yeah, something we're working on because my background, well, let me back up. My background is washing dishes. I went to school for sales and marketing, didn't really learn anything, but over the years I figured out some stuff. So we're working on a QR code to get people to scan in the store, enter their information to enter a catering giveaway, and then put them in an autopilot drip campaign to go do a sample luncheon or something to
Huh?
get them in. And that can be used not only in the store, but like graduation parties was a big niche for us, right?
Yeah, I
And
love that.
so you can buy a list of parents of high school seniors. So if you live in Lexington, Kentucky, you can buy a list. How good is it? I don't know. But if I know there's 3 high schools around my stores, I can go to the guidance counselor and say, look, you're going to have a financial aid night or a college open
Yep.
house. Let me
Yep.
bring dessert and tea and lemonade. And then you get those parents to register for free graduation party. Well, now you've just gotten 300 names for free and now you can market to them in the spring where none of your competitors are going to be doing that. So we're building it where it's a QR code and it automatically goes in a drip campaign and you can fire it off. So
I love that. I love that. We had a catering manager a couple years ago that I came up with a strategy that I really thought was great, and we've had really good success with it. She would, as soon as they announced the fall football schedule for high schools, junior colleges,
yeah,
colleges, and anywhere around the region, she would take the visitors list and she'd reach out to the athletic director of the visiting team,
yeah,
and she'd say, hey, you don't really want to walk into Pizza Hut or McDonald's and shoot their wheels off with 70 kids. Then you've got to collect and get back on a bus,
right.
and you're going to leave one, and it takes their focus off the game. We're
Yeah,
going to bring you boxed lunches of a good, healthy, flavorful meal to the stadium. Your kids can eat it on the bus, in the stadium, however you want. They can stay focused on the game, win in the game, whatever you want to do. And man, the loyalty, they do that one time and they're hooked. They're like, here's the next 10 games. We need you there to deliver our lunch to us.
it's,
And it's perfect.
you know, I sort of pride myself. I did $1 million a year in catering out of a 104-seat restaurant, and I sold in '05. So you can extrapolate 20 years, $1 million out of a 104-seat restaurant was a lot. And I did a million things. And, one of the things we did is we would go to all the high school athletic directors. Now, your brands, maybe Barbaritos would do this, but would be not every brand you have would be conduit to this, is go to the athletic directors at a high school. It goes, look, you're going to have these sports banquets. Let us cater your sports banquets. Or go, to the retail stores. Hey, Black Friday, you're busy. Let us come in and bring food for the associates because you need them working. Right. And I
Yeah.
think, and this dates me. I don't think you're as old as I am, but this dates me. When I opened my restaurant the first year, I got an order from Dillard's department store the day after Thanksgiving for 200 and something people. And I was like, why did they order? I was like, this makes no sense. I didn't even know there was a thing called Black Friday. This is how far back it goes. So that Monday I called the person. I go, hey, I appreciate your order. How is everything? Great. Why did you order? Oh, it's Black Friday. We order. Does every retail store do that? Yeah. So the next year I get in my car with a legal pad. I drive around to the 5 shopping areas in Nashville and I write down all, Target. It was Circuit City. That's how far back it goes, right? All these things. There was no internet. I had to take a Yellow Pages and then put together a letter and call. Like it was about it's like, your grandfather saying he walked uphill to school
Right.
both ways.
Back when the dinosaurs
But
were
the
out.
first time I did that, I spent $45 and I booked 6,000 in drop off catering.
There you go.
So, I mean, it's amazing.
And when I operated super centers, it's the same thing. Black Friday is just all hands on deck. It's so busy. You can't afford to have a team member leave the property to try to go
They'll
eat.
never get back.
They'll never get back, and they'll never find a parking place, and they'll just never come back. So you got stacks of everything in the break room for them. Just keep them hydrated,
and
keep
you
them
know
fed.
what? You just want them. Look, we're feeding you just work because
Yes,
it is
that's
crazy. I mean, it was definitely nuts. Now, I don't know what Black Friday is like now with Amazon. Like, I'm not an early adopter. Maybe I'm the second wave. Like everybody's like, oh, I'm ordering from Amazon. Now, I probably have I probably average 2, 3 packages from Amazon a week. Even times where I go, I'm going to go to, unless I have to have it right away, I'm going to go to Target. Why am I going to Target? I could just order on Amazon and have it tomorrow. That's stupid.
Yeah. Yep.
It's,
I think cyber has probably taken the big edge off of, especially the people who camped out overnight. And so many of the retailers too, they start Black Friday a week early. It's a preview.
I know.
And they bled it out where it's like a month long and all that.
I think where it's fun is where shopping is sport. So where I'm down here in Florida, there's a big outlet mall. I mean, it's huge. So, my kids have come down here and we'll go to the outlet mall because it's sport, right? Like, let's just go see what's on super sale and different. Like, we don't have anything in mind. You're just going, or somebody might like, I love Nike. Let's see what's on sale at the Nike outlet. It's more sport than, okay, I've got a list that I need to go buy and
That's right.
picked the sales circular. And who knows what's going to happen. What do you think AI is going to do to change and disrupt your business? Or how are you using it now and how do you see it in the future?
Right now, we're using mostly for modeling, projection forecasting modeling, supply chain modeling, using it quite a bit in our marketing team, a marketing element, different ideas and protocols. I think that's something that we're investigating aggressively, but we haven't deployed a lot of it yet.
I think it's one of those things, like, I love Instagram for the AI stuff it gives me, the self-improvement stuff it gives me, and I hate it for the bullshit it gives me, right? And I wish I could say, look, cut this out. I just need a news channel for AI, for business, for self-improvement, for health. I don't care about the other stuff because every other day I'm sending my team something about AI, what it's doing and how it's working. I think, 5 years ago, I was calling AI voice for taking orders. Now for pizza, they've got it pretty well dialed in. Catering, we've looked at putting it in our system and it's not there to answer the complexity of questions. And I think what's going to happen is you're going to leapfrog over voice to online AI. And this is just my prediction is, because think about this, there's a whole generation or generations, they don't pick up the phone for anything. They click on everything, right? So you and I grew up picking up the phone, order a pizza, got questions. Well, that's going to sunset away, and you're going to have the consumers 10 years from now, they don't want to talk to anybody, right? But if I'm on my phone or if I'm online and I want to order catering, I want a virtual catering consultant, right? Maybe I don't want to click anything. It's go, hey, John, welcome to Barbaritas. I see you want to place a catering order. Do you have any questions? Yeah, I got 20 football players. What do you recommend? Well, I recommend the 3-meat special and blah, blah, blah. Do you want this for pickup or delivery? I want it for delivery. Great. Where do you want it delivered? So you don't have to touch anything. You don't have to type anything. What do you have for desserts? And it's going to pop up the 3 desserts. And you can say, this is a cookie platter. This is the churro, and dip platter. This is the fruit platter. Oh, give me the fruit and this. And it's just going to be like a virtual interaction because it needs to be visual. And I want to do it from my device. I'm not going to pick up the phone and call somebody. That's what I think is going to be the intersection of those two will be the future.
I think you're absolutely right. And theoretically, AI should help us leapfrog. If we have a 10-month project, my anticipation is that if you're using AI appropriately, it should cut that based on all the learnings of everything else that's in the ether. It should be able to help you troubleshoot and take that project to a 6-month project because it knows what it knows.
Less.
So I think that's going to be the efficiency that people need to get really good at using.
I mean, like, I'm a pretty damn good copywriter, but like I just did a campaign, 8 emails, and I could have written them and it would have taken me half a day to gestate everything. I'm very good at prompt engineering. it literally spit out subject lines, this, that, and the other, exactly the way it needed to. And then you go in and you tweak it. Well, I just saved half a day of my life. Plus it wrote the SMS messages. Plus it did the voicemails.
That's right.
I mean, even something, I've got a place in Costa Rica and I had a leaky roof. I put in all my dimensions. It spec'd out what type of product I should use based on the pitch of the roof, the way the house was modeled, where I lived, the most rainfall that could fall on average at one time, how big the gutters, the downspouts. I'm just like, you'd have to be an engineer from MIT to figure that out. And it figured it out in 3 minutes, right?
It is amazing. It is amazing. I just filed for a corporate entity for a nonprofit. I stood up a nonprofit to help a friend of mine in Honduras. And, I was thinking about calling a lawyer that I knew. And I'm thinking, geez, I got to have articles of incorporation, bylaws. I've got to have all this stuff, right? I typed it into ChatGPT and it did everything. And everything is done. Here's who you need to call. Here's the link. It did everything. It's amazing. There's when it comes back to retail and restaurants, there's a thought leader that I like to follow. I learn a lot from him. He's actually out of Franklin, Tennessee. It's IHL Services, and he does a really good job of staying. It's informational for retail kind of thought leadership.
Yeah.
But he does a really good job sending out just educational, hey, this is something that Target's doing. This is something that Cava's doing. This is whatever. And I think I try to watch his stuff as much as I can because I think he's really on it.
What's his name?
Greg Buzak is his name.
Is he on Instagram? Does he have a channel that he puts stuff out on?
On LinkedIn, he will, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he actually runs a nonprofit called Retail ROI. It's Retail Orphan Initiative. And that's kind of how I got involved in the Honduras nonprofit stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
But he just happens to run a retail company called IHL. Yeah.
Do you go down to Honduras much? I see your necklace. You look a little like you could be a surfer or hang out in Latin America.
Yeah, I was actually just there this week.
Nice. Well, let me know if you ever want to come to Costa Rica. I found
I would love to. I've heard great things.
I've threatened to throw like a catering conference down there and just bring a bunch of people under the guise of let's talk catering and then also go fishing and do whatever. It's just the town I'm in it's a pain to get there. It's 3.5 hours from the airport, but it's also why it's great because it's not a touristy town. Great restaurants, great people, great beach, great mountains, great vibe. But it's not overrun with people trying to buy trinkets and, just an overly touristy trap place. It's not that kind of vibe.
Yeah, those are the worst. Yeah, it sounds awesome.
Awesome. Well, any final words or advice for, anybody in the business who's working on building their brand, their catering, any takeaways?
I think it all comes down to personal relationships and getting out and getting your face known. It's social is local. If you're using social, it's got to be localized. Talk about your team members, talk about what you're doing in the community, talk about how you're invested in the community and how you care about the community and are passionate about what you do. And that'll resonate through your guests. I think that's important.
For sure. For sure. And you can't fake that. It has to be from the heart for sure. It has
to be genuine. 100%.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks so much, John. I'm going to count us out.
You've been listening to Restaurant Catering Smarts. For more insights and episodes, make sure to follow along, subscribe, and share at caterzen.com.